migration of data is one of the challenges that most organizations deal with once or twice every 10 years. So managed service providers obviously deal with this every day. And so I'd like to give a little bit of discussion to how we deal with this and the experiences that we deal with regarding email migration. So first, let's talk about what email migration is and the different types of email migration. Office 365. At its core, Office 365 is Exchange. In fact, it's Exchange Online. And there are multiple different data types you can import into Office 365. In fact, you can import from Exchange, you can import from Office 365, which is probably the simplest type of data to import from. You can import from the standard email protocols, such as POP3 or IMAP. You can import from older email systems, such as Domino. You can import from competitors, such as Gmail. These are probably the most common use cases when we think about getting data into the Office 365 ecosystem. Now this is talking about what data we can import into Office 365. It is not really talking about the different types of email migration. So let's talk about that for a moment. So the different types of email migration, there's really three. The first is called a cutover. This is the most common and the simplest type of migration. This migration really talks about copying all of your data apart from maybe about 5%. So if you think about your data as this being 100% of your data, what you're doing with a cutover is you're copying 95% of your data until you're at this point, until a date in time, and then you copy the last 5%, and then on a certain date you simply cut over everything, and then you copy over your email profiles. This is what's called a cutover. The second type of migration is really for larger or medium-sized organizations. It's called a staged migration. And so, as the name suggests, and as the diagram sort of depicts, this migration happens in stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4, and it's a timed event. And instead of copying all of your users' migration or 95% of all of your users' data in one go, what you're doing is you're taking 2,000 users and you're copying 500 users, then another 500 users, then another 500 users, then another 500 users, and you're actually performing a cutover of these 500, these 500, these 500, and then these 500. And that is the second most common type of migration, which is called a staged migration. Now there are pros and there are cons. Bear in mind that this migration is really for smaller, this is for larger organizations. Now the benefits of doing each really comes down to cost, and it comes down to user experience. With this one, all of your users are going to be cut over at the same time. With this one, you're going to be running two environments until you get to this point. So you're going to be running two environments in parallel because you're staging your migration. The third type of migration is called a hybrid. And that type of migration, you're absolutely running two environments, environment A and environment B, in parallel. And what you do, and let's pick one of these, let's say it was Exchange, and let's say it was Office 365, and what you do is you have all of your data here and all of your data here replicating 100% of the time. And what you do is this data is syncing from here to here all of the time until you decide that you want to cut this one off, turn this environment off, and then turn this environment up. This is the most expensive type of migration, but it provides the highest client experience. So hybrid is absolutely the most expensive, and you see enterprises do this one all the time. So you've got cutover, staged, and hybrid. A managed service provider can advise you on all of these 3 different types of migration. And then finally, just be aware that data can be brought in from all of these different types of data using various different tools. So that is a sort of 101 on migrating data into Office 365. Thank you.